I'm Megan Mitchell. This is my co-host, John Morrison, and you are listening to the True North Racing Podcast.
Time to strap in, pull those belts, and get ready for an action-packed episode of the True North Racing Podcast. Are you ready to unhelmet your favorite racers? Get ready for the most fun you'll have outside the racetrack to get you ready for the next race. You're listening to John Morrison and Megan Mitchell, and this is the True North Racing Podcast.
Welcome, everyone, to a brand new episode of the True North Racing Podcast presented by Driving with Haley. I'm your host, John Morrison. I am flying solo today because we are recording on a Sunday, and if you guys were tuning in, were following us along at Flamborough Speedway on Saturday, you will know that the races got moved to Saturday, and with that, Megan was unable to make it to the show. Definitely going to be a long weekend for her. It took a toll on everyone. We're going to get into that in just a few minutes, though, but I hope everyone had a great weekend. This is episode 138 of the True North Racing Podcast. Man, first of all, I can't believe we made it to 138 episodes, 4 years, and I can't remember when Joe Media started, but I know we're about to come up on the 4th anniversary. We started in 2020. So it's easy to remember our birth date in a sense of year. And what a 4 years that it has been, from the show starting in November of that year to all the drivers, to doing live shows at Motorama, doing what I'm doing with the A Day at the Races vlog series presented by JTM Racing. We are having a blast doing this. And it's hard to believe it. I was just talking to Jacqueline earlier. We are going to be at 150 episodes just after Labor Day. Yeah, just after Labor Day weekend. We are going to be at 150 episodes. I still can't believe we're going to be, if we even get a chance to get there. I know it's only 12 weeks out or so. I'm hoping we get there. I know a lot of people do. I'm sure we will. We got to thank everyone. So let's get into this week's Pep's Pro Painting opening segment. We had such a great weekend. I traveled to Flamborough Speedway on Saturday for the APC Spectra Premium 100 at Flamborough. It was, I don't know what to say. We weren't even there for the late models. We were there for the pure stocks. Yeah, we were recording with Cam Thompson in his 28 BT race car, and Mother Nature won again. I'm getting frustrated with Mother Nature. I don't know who I need to call. But it's getting frustrating, man. I'm 1 for 4 on race day vlogs, for full race day vlogs. I did get some yesterday with Cam. There's footage I didn't even get that I needed to, because unfortunately you'll see it in the video. One of the cool things we did do is I found a couple drivers who had hero cards. It wasn't even their 2024 ride. It was actually from some older rides. They had them. And during a rain delay, I actually said, like, who's got hero cards? Like, let's go. Let's get across over there. Go see those people in the grandstands. So I got to thank Brady Cox and Spencer Riddell for joining me, and Sean Cox as well for coming across to go get hero cards into anyone's hands. It didn't matter if there was a child, an adult, a senior, didn't matter. You wanted a hero card, you can come and grab one. I got some pictures and videos I'm going to toss up right now. We had a blast. I know I had a blast seeing the interaction with the kids, with the adults who were talking to Spencer and Brady, and Sean even was shouting, talking about getting into and how do people get into race cars, and reiterating that, hey, once the racing's over, you guys can come over to the grandstand, over to the pit side, and chat to some of your favorite racers. And if you saw someone you cheered for, you saw their car, go up and see them. But yeah, it was so cool to be able to go over there, walking over there. Like, it was such a cool experience. Um, Sorry to Jason, the one of the staff members at Flamborough. I thought he was being sarcastic when we were walking over. He goes, "Oh, thanks guys so much." And I was like, "Is that?" Like, I've known Jason for years, going back to my crewing days with David Ellie. He crewed for Gary, and but man, we had such a blast being over there, and the track dried really quick, which was surprising with the amount of rain we got in a short little time. Wow, in so little time. And so you see Brady, myself, and Spencer running across. They got all the, and just as I got back from over there, oh, there goes Cam going down pit road. And of course, I forgot that I actually had pulled the GoPros out. So I ran from just off the turn two embankment, pit exit there, and I ran all the way down to turn three, trying to catch him, be like, hey, I forgot to turn on GoPros. And meanwhile, I actually have them in my backpack. And of course, at one point, I had Phil Givens just beside me, and all ears, go, Jomo, go. And I started laughing. Um, I couldn't run anymore, but and of course, so I didn't get any of the first feature racing in. So you guys, there's not a whole lot of footage, unfortunately. I'm gonna do my best I can to put some of it together, showcase as much as I can. But we are gonna be back with Cam. He has a second race day vlog coming in September. This time we're going dirt racing. We are going to join him at the Friday portion of the Canadian Sprint Nationals. On the Friday, it is going to be the Crate Sprint Car Northern Nationals. I'm excited to get back there. He put on a hell of a show last year. I'm sure he's going to do it again. So, thank you, Cam, for having us out. Sorry for the lack of footage we got, man. It's unfortunate. We even had a little incident coming down to the track. I was driving down Highway 6 heading towards Flamborough, and I looked to my right at the Pioneer, and there's Alex Stewart. And I noticed the hood was up on his car, and I saw a car in front of him. Looks like he was trying to get jump started. So I hit on the brakes hard, pulled in, and tried to help out, see what I could do to help get him to the racetrack. And unfortunately, car troubles on his pickup was the issue of getting to the track. And we tried to do some work, and unfortunately, it didn't work. So hopefully, it's an easy fix. I don't know what, I think it might be a starter. Hopefully, he gets that fixed. He has been having zero luck this year, unfortunately. So but yeah, it was sucks to see him like that, but it was good to see him to try and it sucks to see a driver like that struggling to get to the track in the sense of having a broken down vehicle. But he was still able to get to the racetrack. His car was still able to get there. His truck got sent to a mechanic. So yeah, just that's all we need to do, people, is we just need to be kind to everyone, help out wherever we can. But yeah, and then of course Saturday night after they canceled, it was like 7 o'clock. I had been there since about 2:30, 2:40 ish. And I looked at my phone. I was like, you know what? I still have a time to go to he's gonna be my future brother-in-law. But he's gonna be a dad this summer. My sister is I'm gonna be an uncle for the first time this summer. And they were hosting a diaper party. And I've never heard of these things before. And I have two kids. They're 8 and 10. I've never heard of this thing, but apparently all the guys go. It's kind of like a bachelor party, but you bring diapers and wipes and stuff like that. I had a blast for the time I was there, but like 9:30, I was getting tired, so I'm like, I need to get going home. It was a long day. But it was good to see him, good to see my sister even, who was there, who was hanging out upstairs. Congratulations to you guys, and I hope for a happy, healthy baby for the two of you. And then today this weekend we've had Kite Fest hanging around in our backyard. That's been kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie. It's been an interesting thing. Like there was a right behind our house, there's actually a section that was blocked off for, as they called it, experts flyers only. And I'm gonna throw out some of the video footage right here, right now. It is for there was a spaceman, there was a cobra today, there was I saw SpongeBob, I think I saw SpongeBob, I saw Pikachu. Um, who did I see else? There was some other ones as well that I saw. I thought they were pretty cool. And then the other area of the park, there was just like regular kite flyer, like you and I could go over there and fly a kite. But they had food trucks, they had music playing, and I'll be honest, some of the music was a little bit questionable for the kids. Like they were playing hotel room service, and if you know the meanings behind the song, then you're kind of hit and missing on that. Um, but yeah, we had we had a blast today. We kind of stopped. We were cleaning the room today, cleaning the house up a little bit, and we kept stopping. Jacqueline would be like in the kitchen cleaning the kitchen, and I was upstairs cleaning the room a bit. And she would look at it, she's like, "Oh, look what they got!" And I run downstairs to go take a look. They had like a soccer man. They had birds. Yeah, they had kites that looked like birds. It was unreal. Um, yeah, it was so cool. So if you ever have a local kite fest, I highly suggest going to check it out. It is pretty cool. Um, this week on the program though, we were thankfully joined by uh Jonathan Howe, the voice of Merrittville Speedway. So if you kind of recognize his voice, he's the one who does the announcing down at Southern Ontario or at Merrittville Speedway. He is also the host of the Southern Ontario Dirt Show, which is another is a racing podcast that strictly follows a lot of the dirt series, such as like the High Limit Sprint Cars, World of Outlaws, Dirt Car, and of course the local racings at Merrittville, Oswego, and stuff like that. He does a hell of a job. He did have a partner in Travis Cunningham, but as you'll learn, there's some things that happened with Travis, and he stepped away this year. So it has been Jonathan, man in the show, and tonight we're gonna call this the John and John show because I will say this: we both spell our names the same way, and I think they're the correct ways to spell it. Fight us on that, I dare you. Uh, we talked about how our unique name is, and how we always have to tell people how it's spelt because it doesn't matter which way you say it. If you say John, the people are going to put an H in there. If you say Jonathan, they put an A in there. We're the club of no H and no A. So uh it was a lot of fun having Jonathan on. We could always talk. We could talk for hours. We even talked for like another 30 minutes after about racing in general. So he is a guy you guys want to tune into. Make sure you guys follow them. Southern Ontario Dirt Show on Facebook, Sods Pod on Instagram, TikTok. Make sure you guys follow even the Southern Ontario Dirt Show on all major podcasting platforms, including YouTube. They're over there now, so go check them out. Go give them some love. Jonathan is also even a voice on is a media personality over at Hits FM down in St. Catharines area, which is kind of how we got Jonathan back on the show. So thank you to Megan and Rachel for helping us set that up. Yeah, we always had a huge blast with them. Next time I go to Merrittville, though, it looks like I'm going to be scheduled to go on the Southern Ontario Dirt Show. So not only will you have to listen to me once on this program, but you'll have to listen to me on there as well if you so choose to listen. But no, man, Jonathan does a great job announcing down there. I've been there for some of his calls. The racing has been great down there, and that's another thing I want to talk about. Here's the thing, people. Merrittville is the perfect spot for a date night. Here's why. If you like pizza, you like smokehouse, they got 2 spots out front. Go early enough. I'd say go about 5:00. Go in there, go get your pizza, 1 spot. And this is what Jacqueline and I do, is we actually go get 1 pizza, and then we also order I typically order like a brisket sandwich, but I think next time we're going to switch it up. And then what we do is we split it in half, and it's perfect. It's the right amount. Then if we're feeling hungry, still hungry, guess what? They got ice cream, and then we can go into the track and enjoy a night of racing at the track. And even the track food there is pretty darn good. I will say that. So yeah, if you're listening to us and you're from the Niagara region and don't know about Maryville Speedway, how do you not? That's all I'm gonna say. Maryville has been big on social media, promoting all their races. They've done a hell of a job from what I've seen. Jonathan was telling me that the stands are packed, which is I want to hear that, and that's the beauty part is that the stands are packed. That's great. I love it. Let's keep that going down there. There's so much more obviously we can talk about Maryville Speedway. There's even stuff that Jonathan and I talked about afterwards that he's gonna talk about on his show. So if you guys didn't catch it here, guess what? Go over to the Southern Ontario Dirt Show, tune in, check it out, listen. We had a huge blast with him. He's one of those guys that we can have a lot of fun chatting with, and it's easy to talk to. Now we just need to talk to Megan about getting into one of the enduros they have down there, bringing maybe one of their cars out for a night of racing in their enduro division. But no, it was great to have him on, and that's what we like to see is when we have guests who enjoy themselves being on the show. And Jonathan's one of them. He was a blast to have on as always. You know, I love it when he comes on. This is the second time on the show. It's a lot of fun. What else do we got going on here? There's not much really else I have really to talk about right now. And unfortunately, I messed up. I reached out too late. I don't have a vehicle spotlight, driving with Haley vehicle spotlight this year. So realistically, you know what? Yeah, we're gonna skip on that this week. That's on me for not reaching out early enough. I did the show actually a little bit early, like an hour earlier compared to usual. But yeah, there's in 2 weeks though, I will be returning to Flamborough Speedway. Hopefully, we got Mother Nature under control by then. June 22nd, we'll be back with the Ontario Pro Challenge this time, hanging out with Tenley Pempin in the number 54 Shack Shine car. You guys have already seen an in-car, a rear car, a bumper cam. Let's just put it a bumper cam on Tenley's car. This time we're going to be watching her plus out the front windscreen. Wow. Yeah, out the front windshield for her twin features at Flamborough Speedway. We're going to be following her around for the day, following what she does at the track. It's going to be a lot of fun. You're going to hear a new perspective from a different driver. She's already looking forward to it. She shared it to her social medias and says she's excited for June 22nd, which is what I like to hear. I like it when drivers are excited for when we're going to show up, especially when we bring cameras, because it's a lot of fun having these kind of things happen. You know, that's the beauty of this is when we have these kind of people join us and on the program. And of course, and actually the best thing is this is going to be a homecoming because our presenting sponsor for a day at the races is JTM Racing. So next time out, it's going to be a grand event. I think we're going to have a lot of fun. It's also Meet the Drivers Night, and guess who's got GoPros and a headband? This guy. So we're going to be walking around during Meet the Drivers Night. I'm going to put my headband on. We're going to go do a Michael Waltrip style grid walk, talk to as many drivers as possible, see what kind of shenanigans I can get into on the front stretch of Flamborough Speedway. So yeah, make sure you guys come out June 22nd for Meet the Drivers Night. Mother talks about Mother Nature. Mother Nature didn't just win Flamborough. It won like 90% of racetracks in Ontario. Sunset got all but 2 features in. Sauble Speedway had their opening night canceled, but they called it early enough. Looks like Southern Ontario Motor Speedway got in. Delaware Speedway, they're moving the rest of Friday night's action to this Friday before they get the rest of the racing action get underway. Peterborough canceled just after the heat races. man, it was not even Maryville got canceled as well. So like it's not a it was a hard night, a hard weekend for racing again here in Ontario. Um man, I just want a good showing of cars and drivers and get the season underway where we're not having Mother Nature t deter us away from doing what we love and going to the racetrack. Um But yeah, that's gonna do it for this edition of the Pets Pro Painting opening segment. Let's get into this week's Graphic Design Studio guest segment. Joining us this week in our Graphic Design Studio guest segment, we are being joined by the voice of Maryville Speedway, Jonathan Howe. John, how's it going, man?
Hey, what's going on, fellow Jonathan? I mean, and we have the unique situation where we actually spell Jonathan the same way, which is not common for us, right?
It's the correct way, in my opinion.
Yes, absolutely. I'm right there with you.
It's so cool because I don't think I've ever, even in my life, I can't remember if we talked about it last time on the show. I've never met another Jonathan in my life that has the same spelling as me.
Same for me. I met one, and he was an American dude that I met on a cruise when I was like 17. So it's not like somebody regularly that I talk to and know of in my life. I just felt like this freak walking around with an O at the end of my name and no extra H at the beginning. But you know what? I agree with you. It is the right way to spell it. I always say on the radio when I'm trying to get people to remember what my handles are, I always say it's like you got to spell it like it's a marathon of John.
I never heard it that way before. That is a great, I gotta start using that. That is, oh man. I know it's always sucks when you're on the rate, like when you're talking to people and they're like, what's your name? It's like John. And then you immediately click in and go Jon. Or
yeah.
When you say your full name, you got to go On at the end. Like you can't.
Yeah. Cause you're trying to keep it short for people and you're like, they'll automatically go, oh, so John. And I'm like, no, that's not, you're not going to find me there.
My aunt for 30 years still doesn't spell my name correctly.
Isn't it funny? Like my favorite is when I have it in like when I send emails to people and then I get the email back and the spelling is at the bottom completely differently. And it's like, I literally have it spelled correctly for you right at the end. All you got to do is scroll to the bottom of my email and you will see that this is in fact how you spell my name, not whatever way you're trying to make up right now.
Right? It tells me that I didn't read the entire email.
No, exactly. It's a great test. Like if I ever find myself in like a management or like some kind of boss level position anywhere, it's gonna be so funny to be like, you're not reading my emails, are you?
Only one can hope that when we get up there, they see that name and they actually read the entire email.
Yeah.
But let's get on with the show because we're not here to talk about why our names are spelled they are. We are here to talk racing and motorsports. We've had you on the show before. We had you and Travis on to talk about the Southern Ontario Dirt Show. This is a unique situation why we brought you on is because a good friend of actually my co-host Megan, who unfortunately, she had a race today as she was part of the APC show at Flamborough Speedway. I don't know the whole deal, but I think she reached out to you guys because you guys were asking racing questions on the air.
Yeah, I was on it was on my FM rock radio show. So I have a segment I do when my regular shift is on the weekends and then I do swing, we call it in radio. So I'm swinging between different shifts and stuff like that on top of my weekend duties. But right around noon on Saturdays and Sundays, I have like an open mic segment where I'm like, okay, I go live on the Hits FM Instagram. I go and I open up the text box. You text us your questions, whatever it is that you need an answer to, and I call it "What do you want to know?" at noon. And I can't remember the exact question, but I think it was either Megan or somebody that Megan was with that texted into the show, and I think they were asking when I was going to be back on this podcast. I'm pretty sure was how the question was worded, something along those lines. And I was like, well, that's a strange one to get. And then I was like scrolling through, and I think I feel like it was Megan because we have the ability to go back and see older texts, and I feel like she texted into a different show or something and put Megan at the end, and I'm like, oh, yeah, duh. So, or maybe she was asking sponsorship for a race car, something like that. How do I get the Sods Pod on the race car or Hits FM on the race car? I can't remember what the question was now, but it was pretty funny. So I was like, oh, I got to reach out to Jonathan and let him know.
Yeah, I know Megan and Rachel were telling me about that story, and I of course I think I told you before, you're always more than welcome to join us on the show. Like it's one of those things where we love talking to people. Sometimes we're on the other end of the microphone, sometimes sometimes we're the guest, sometimes we're the host. And it it's always fun because I feel like we haven't talked to many more Maryville guys since even you were on last. Um, so it's kind of nice to get you back on, talk about Maryville, talk about the racing in that area of the province because again, I feel like we've been skipping out on a little bit lately on our show, so I kind of feel bad for it. But it's nice that we got you on because then you can talk about it, what's been going on in Maryville, and Maryville does an amazing job from front to back, in my opinion. I see their social media. Uh, on top of not only just the racing, but the pizza, um, the smokehouse and ice cream out front, which anyone who hasn't gone yet, go. Um, it's nice to be able to get you on and talk about what's been going on in that region of the province.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I feel like I tune into your show to kind of grab like my asphalt news because I had somebody actually text into the radio show when I was on Hits FM today, and they're like, "Why don't you give more information or talk more about like us Flamborough guys?" And I think it was somebody from Flamborough. Now I can't remember exactly who it was, but and the honest answer is just my Saturday nights are always occupied in Dirtland, right?
Yep.
I'm at Merrittville, so I feel like yeah, I could look up the results, I guess, and talk about them. But then even then, I only have 2 minutes to try to get to it. And there was talk at one point of me doing a full on, not just dirt show, but racing show for News Talk 610. That unfortunately fell through this year, which it kind of worked out for the best because it's been a really busy year in general and a lot of change and a lot of things like that. So I don't know if I would have had the time to give the way I would have wanted it to. And I don't know if the show would have been exactly what I would have wanted it to be if I did get the opportunity to do it. So hopefully maybe next year we can circle back on it and be a bit more proactive in the planning of it and launching it and all that sort of stuff. But for now, I mean, Saturday nights, like I say, I'm occupied by the dirt. We've had some some inclement weather. I mean, we had two actual rainouts. We had a fog out, which was super random.
Yeah.
We had this past Saturday, unfortunately, was rain shortened, but we still got two feature races in, two brand new winners in each class, which was really cool to see. For whatever, you mentioned the food, you mentioned just the overall atmosphere, the social media, everything about Merrittville this year has been it's like we found a new gear. We found another level. We're back to, I don't want to say, I can't, I try to remember what 2019 was like because that was my first year when I started announcing alongside Stephen Petty.
Yeah.
And I kind of walked onto the job after being in 2 years of college, and I wasn't following the sport a lot. I wasn't going to the track all that much at all. And I remember it being, I remember it kind of being like, pretty packed. I remember it being successful, but I feel like I was just learning so much on the spot. I wasn't taking it all in. Now, when I stand in the tower and I look out to my left and I look out to my right and I see just packed grandstands, whether it's the Ivan Little Memorial, which was an incredibly special race, the inaugural event with that, James Little and so many of the families and everybody else associated with that race did such a good job putting that event on and making it so special for the drivers, the crews, the families of the drivers. But nights like that, even our just standard nights, everybody thought it was going to rain last night, and we still had an incredibly healthy crowd of people who showed
That's
up to be
awesome.
there. So the momentum off the racetrack is as high as I can ever remember it being, especially in my short time with the Speedway. I've I've been super blessed. I felt really lucky to be a part of it this year. It would have been so easy with the change of a race director at the start of the year to have so many more glitches than we've had, so many more incidents than we've had. But everything has, knock wood, gone really smoothly, and we're really spoiled. We're getting treated to great racing each and every Saturday night. The amount of comments I'm seeing, the amount of people, even when I'm just walking through the crowds to get down to Victory Lane or whatever it is, I'm hearing people talk about how good the racing has been. Like you hear those fan reports of like, wow, that was a really good race. It's like, oh, I thought that guy was going to get him, or I can't believe that guy was finished. It's so everything is just super, super positive, and I hope this momentum continues on. And We're going to do the best we can on our end to keep the momentum rolling. And yeah, off the track, like you mentioned, has been doing great, but on track, we're getting treated to some good stuff too.
And that helps you out so much when you guys do so much off the track that it translates to on track as well. When you start seeing, you just said it, you saw what, 2 different winners this past weekend alone in a
Yeah,
rain shortened,
two brand new feature winners. Yeah.
like,
Hannah Rothwell breaks through for her first mini stock feature win. Ryan Anderson, another driver who's, kind of was like the most improved mod light guy last year, was knocking on the door of running in the top 5 regularly. And this year showed up with that much more speed, that much more confidence, and went out and won one, took one away. Didn't luck into it. Both drivers, I would say Hannah didn't luck into it either. It was a rain shortened event. So she won it after 11 laps. I'm sure she would have liked to go the full 15 or whatever it was scheduled to be, but
yeah.
you take them as you can get them. And like I said, we've had new winners, we've had familiar faces get back in victory lane. It's just been, there's just been so many great storylines to talk about.
And which again helps out so much. When I look at a lot of things, you got to see one thing succeed to see the other succeed, and then it translates back into the product at the track of what you guys are putting on. I know I was supposed to come on out. I made it to Merrittville,
Yep.
but unfortunately you guys called it, I think, like 10 minutes before I got to the track. Which is unfortunate. Like there was weather in the area. Mother Nature has been wreaking havoc this year. Like you said, you had a fog out, 2 official rainouts, and then a rain shortened event on Saturday night. It sucks how, like, today, like it's been doom and gloom for most of the day. I'm looking outside, man, it'd be a perfect day. Like, it's beautiful right now to go. Whereas yesterday it was beautiful in the morning, doom and gloom in the afternoon, and I got to Flamborough Speedway. We were in and out of what if we're going to get any racing in or not.
Yeah, it's been strange this year. Like I say, like the fog night was really the craziest one that I've ever seen. And that's one of those ones that I understand why we're doing the things that we're doing in terms of how we present our content at Maryville, and not just going with the G-Force broadcast, for example. But that's one of those nights that I kind of wish we did have G-Force, just to be able to have watched on YouTube the fog roll in over half an hour, 20 minutes, whatever it was. It went from like us staring at the tower and looking off to our right, and like it's like, oh, look at all the fog on the cornfields. That's so weird. That's kind of weird to see on a middle of May Saturday night. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, it's kind of creeping over the barrier here. It's kind of on the racetrack. And then I can't see the backstretch. Can you see the backstretch? And we literally from the tower, from the front stretch, couldn't see it. The last race that we did get in on that night was the UMP modified finish.
Yeah.
And Ken Schrader, who was lucky enough to be visiting with us, did get to run in that, thankfully. And he ended up winning it. He takes this iconic victory lane photo where he is standing in front of the flag stands that we have at Merrittville, and you can't even see the flags. Like, you can see a little bit of the pole in his background, but the actual flag in the tower, it's all just fogged out. It was such a weird experience, something I definitely have not experienced yet. But it's gonna put. I'm interested to see how track management officials, all that, decide to do the scheduling now, because we had already made up with last night. We have made up the mod light feature that we missed from the fog night. We already ran double features for the sportsmen a couple weeks back, so they got their extra race in that they were owed. But now we did get through all the heats last night, so there's a what do we have here? I think we still have a modified feature to make up, a Hoosier stock feature to make up, and possibly a mini stock as well, if I'm not mistaken. They might have got that show in. I don't 100% remember off the top of my head right now, but we're all of a sudden going to have like 6 or 7 feature events that need to be made up still. So if you're a race fan who's looking for a little extra racing, I would watch the calendar and watch some of the pit notes as they come through, because we're going to be talking about double feature nights for the next couple of weeks. I would say probably not next week because it's nostalgia night. It's the Wall of Fame inductions. It's kind of a special night. It's already kind of a night that drags on, but double features are definitely going to be on the horizon at Merrittville.
I guess, yeah, and it's great that you guys are going to be able to make up those features. And compared to other tracks, I'm really happy to see that you guys are not letting them lose out on races throughout the year, that you're going to try and work with them to get the races in, because that's one of the things that we've been like when I go to Flamborough Speedway, they can't add any more features now.
Mm.
Like, you're going to ask a team, if you get a rain out, you can't run anymore that night because now you're already running 2 races.
Well, it's just too hard on the cars, right? For the most
Right.
part.
You're now like the pure stocks, let's say they run 20, 25 laps. Now you're going to ask them to run 75 laps in a single night.
Yeah.
Right. So it's good to see that you guys are also trying to make up those nights and really get in a full season, because you don't want to see, let's be real, drivers and these teams and drivers put in a lot of effort to go out there and race. Their sponsors want them out there. They want to be out there. When they start losing nights because of weather, it really kind of sucks, because then it's like puts them in a bind of like, well, what do we do? How are we going to go forward with this? And man, I'm really happy to see that you guys are trying to make up those nights. And again, if you're a fan of racing in the Merrittville area, like Merrittville Speedway area, there's the place you're going to want to be Saturday nights.
Yeah, and it's the advantage of dirt racing, right? From, I've never had to pay a tire bill. I've never had to work on one of these race
don't
cars or
wanna
anything
pay
like
one.
that. Well, exactly, right? But I've never had to worry about it from that standpoint before. But I can put myself in the shoes of a driver. And I've had drivers come on my podcast and talk about the fact that they may have started in the asphalt world, but they came to dirt because you don't go through tires the same way you do, especially at Merrittville. For whatever reason, we're blessed with this amazing clay surface that just doesn't seem to wear tires like some of the other tracks in Southern Ontario and even in Western New York, Central New York do. So we're lucky that way. We're spoiled that way with how the surface is constructed at Merrittville, that we can do stuff like that. Um, you know, obviously a heat win is nice, and I'm sure running well in a heat means a lot. But if you give the guys the option at the end of the day, they want to run those features. They want to get the points for the championship. They want to go out and win a feature because that's when the pay window is open. That's what gets you
Yep.
paid, right? So I'm glad that we're able to do what we're going to be able to do, and it sounds like I would expect, like I say, probably not next week, but maybe even the week after, start seeing some double features on there. There's going to be lots of racing that's not necessarily needs to get made up, but is going to be made up over the course of the year. So that's the one blessing, I guess, out of all this rain is that there's going to be some extra racing that you see on a Saturday night.
And I mean, with the dog days of summer about to roll in, because we're about to get out of this springtime weather, and we're hardly gonna see rain in July and August. Fingers crossed, knock on wood.
Mhm.
We never see rain on a Saturday throughout a Friday or a Saturday throughout the summer, because we don't want to lose our Friday night races as well. Because hell, when I know when I don't have my boys, my computer and my TV are on in my room, and I will have Delaware and Oswego on, so I
Yeah.
can stay up to date.
Yeah, and I mean that's the kind of blessing that we have these days is that there is so much coverage of what we see in Southern Ontario, and there is such a great way to track all of this stuff while it happens live, track it all in the moment. I mean, if you weren't watching the G-Force broadcast, I knew so many people who, even like myself, I missed it on Friday, and we were all looking for the results of what happened on my race pass for the 360s, but because they had a scoring issue. We didn't know. I didn't know that Dylan Westbrook won the 360 until somebody told me yesterday when I was at the racetrack. So, you start to, I don't want to say take things for granted, but you almost take that sort of stuff for granted with what, how easily accessible the information is when it comes to motorsports and everything that we're doing in Southern Ontario. So both asphalt and dirt.
Oh yeah, the coverage that it's starting to gather here in Ontario is really improving. Hell, super stock driver Ryan Dyson down at Delaware, he has a vlog series that he puts out each week regarding his racing career, to the point where now even Rogers TV London has picked it up.
Wow.
And they air that from 7 to 7:30 on Fridays before Rogers TV changes over to the coverage from Delaware Speedway.
Well, it's a perfect tee up, right? And at the end of the day,
Absolutely.
he's gonna do that content regardless. He's gonna post it anyway. So why not if you're that kind of network? That's what I don't want to sit here and say I'm waiting on, but we're seeing what we're seeing from Osh Weekend. Maybe TSN probably isn't the spot for it because it's almost like they have so many properties at this point. But I wonder about a Rev TV. I wonder about one of these networks teaming up with what Clinton and what everybody's got going on at GeForce and saying, let's let's get these races filmed. I mean, even at Merrittville, I always say his last name wrong, so I'm going to apologize in advance, Joe. But Joe Aubertine, I think it's Aubertine. I always say I don't know if it's Obertine or Albertine. I always say it wrong either way. He'll clarify it probably next time I see him at the track. But either way, he's a guy who's been shooting the races with a drone shot. And so even at Maryville, we don't have traditional filming, but you can go back and watch these races on the drone. There is no commentary. It's quiet. You do get the a starter, I guess. I don't know how they get it, but they have the one-way communication from the race director, so you can hear all that sort of stuff, which is kind of neat. But I've been saying, I'm like, we need to take that and let's save it for the off season, and I'll go back and overdub it. I'll have my co-host William Morrison let's overdub it
Yeah.
and put it out after the fact. Like I've always said, and it is kind of anecdotal. The crowds increased when we stopped bringing G-Force to Maryville Speedway. There's no ifs, ands, buts about it. There's a lot of factors for that, and I'm not going to sit here and say that the fact that we got out of a pandemic right around the same time isn't the biggest one that caused that. But I still believe in covering these races, filming these races, because it's footage that's going to live on forever. And
Yep.
I think the documentation of these series and these racetracks are going to be so important for future generations, especially as we don't know how things are going to go. I read and hear all these stories about Speedway Park. I hear these stories about forgotten racetracks and forgotten racers. Growing up in Niagara Falls, I was riding around streets that at one time were a dirt track, and I just didn't even know that now this subdivision land is at one point there was a racetrack right where I'm riding
Yep.
my bike, right? So, the more we can preserve, the more we can document, I think, racing in general around Southern Ontario and in our communities, the better off we're going to be long term. And I just think there's an appetite for it and there's an audience for it. So GeForce
Absolutely.
has proved it. So
Exactly. Like today, because I wanted to watch, because I didn't get a chance to go back to Flamborough today. I was recording a race day vlog with one of my drivers yesterday. Wasn't able to come back out today because it was just gonna be too much time, and I wasn't even sure if I was gonna be back in time for this. I wanted to make sure I was here for this. This is when I record. I want to make sure I'm here for, because I don't want to be like, hey, let's do this Sunday, and next thing you know it gets rained out. And I'm like, oh, hey, yeah, guess what? You're gonna have to be put on the back burner. That's not fair to you.
I would have been fine with it. I would have understood. You're not paying me to be here and I'm not paying to be on the show. I know some of those guys are hooking you up to do those race day vlogs. So I appreciate you saying that, but always put the business first, buddy. You don't have to worry about that.
What are you talking about? This is also a business for me.
I guess
In
that
a
is true,
sense.
right? Podcast
It's
business, right?
it's all part of the same deal. So I actually downloaded and I bought a month just to see what it was like of Racing America, because the way I look at it, when you have cable, when you have streaming services, when you have all this stuff, and there's so much racing, but you have to flip between two different major streaming services to be able to watch this stuff, it gets out of hand pretty quick.
Oh yeah.
Like I looked at Racing America, I can't afford to pay 120, 150 bucks a year.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, Flow Racing, 150 bucks a year. That's $300. That's probably, and then we're gonna put a streaming box on my TV here, which is already attached actually. That's 120 bucks a year.
It adds up so quick, and that's always been my problem. And it's something that, like, it's not that I laugh because nobody's really bothered me that much about it. But if anybody ever comes to me about the podcast and it's like, oh, well, why are you selling stickers? You can't just give them away or whatever. And it's like, no, like I'm raising money to pay those bills, because if you want that coverage, if you want me to be able to share those opinions about the Super Dirt Car Series or the World of Outlaws or the High Limits, I have to be able to watch it one way or the other. And
Yep.
radio's a nice gig at times, and I've got some pretty sweet gigs going on in other things that I do, but it's not like I've got $500 extra to spend to be able to watch this stuff, plus having the time to do it. So,
Yeah.
anytime I'm reporting on stuff from the podcast, a lot of it is from watching the highlights and reading recaps, which again is why it's on us as local tracks to do such a good job of presenting results and being able to have good write-ups and having good documentation, whether it be just on social media or a full-on TV broadcast, whatever it is. That's the stuff that gets shared around. And
Yep.
I it's such a, I don't want to say frustrating thing, but like, I love the fact that I can pay for TSN Plus and watch NASCAR, Formula One, and IndyCar all together, plus the Pinty series when it restreams. Well,
Yep.
NASCAR Canada series. I should correct myself now. I'm always going to do that. I'm going to keep doing that for a while now.
Oh, I don't blame
But
you.
yeah, so like that's great, but what else are we left with? And then you get into your flows, then you get into your Racing America. It's so hard to keep up with it all. Dirt Vision for us dirt guys and anybody who wants to
Yeah.
track any of the dirt car racing and dirt car sanctioned stuff, and the speed group, or it just, it's so tough, and we're so spoiled to have great coverage and to have the ability to watch it all, but it's almost like there's too much of it at times. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, that's the thing, right? Is I looked at it, it's like, because I've been flip-flopping, because like Flow carries the NASCAR Canada series, it carries the Snowball Derby, it's got oh crap, the
Cars Tour.
Chili Bowl
Oh,
cars.
Chili Bowl.
Do they have the cars? Yeah, they have the cars tour as
Yeah,
well.
Racing America's Cars Tour, right? I'm pretty sure.
I think I'm really hope Racing America's Cars Tour. But Flow's got all this stuff. It's like I want to watch those races among other things, and then it's like Racing America's got all these other ones. It's like, can we start trading some off here so I can get an all-in-one instead of just like give
I,
me a package that I can just pick what I want to stream, and like that's what I pay.
I feel like it's gonna get to that point. I think we're even seeing it. Like, wasn't there a big deal announced in the States? I'm sure if it's in the States, it's probably gonna end up coming to Canada. But like, they have like a super sports pack that's Fox Sports put together with ESPN, put together with Hulu, put together with one other major property in terms of content, and they're all teaming up together. And it's like, well, what's the difference between buying that and buying cable? It's all going to circle
Yeah.
back around in one way or another, where these streaming services are going to just bundle each other together. And I don't know, man. Like, it's hard to it's hard to do it and not want to do it illegally. And I have always been somebody who, working in radio and working in media, I'm always like, please don't download music. As a
Yeah.
musician, even, right? I'm not sitting here saying I'm trying to go play Wembley Stadium or anything anytime soon. But if somebody asks me, how I can best support your music career when I eventually release some music later this year, I'm going to tell them, go buy it on Bandcamp. Go pay for it other ways. Um, don't just stream it on Spotify, because that doesn't value the art the same way, right?
Yeah.
Um, and I think the products that we have are super valuable, and they need to be valued as such, and people should be valuing it. But it's so hard when people don't have an extra $100 to spend
Yeah.
on some of this stuff, and it's like, of course you're going to go to Reddit, or you're going to go wherever and find a quick illegal stream, or somebody screen sharing something on Discord or whatever, right, to watch it. So I understand it all ways around. I think it's going to be something that corrects itself. All I want is it to be sustainable.
Yep.
All I want is, I would love to see, and if I'm going to get really bold with my prediction based on my understanding, Racing America is owned by, I think, a few of the NASCAR teams, or the Race Team Alliance was
Yeah.
the owner of it, right?
Yeah, they own the
So
RTA.
so I could see as, if not a part of this next charter agreement for the big boys in Cup, I could see somehow where NASCAR, who we know, it's public information, they just built this $1 billion facility down in Charlotte, where they're going to be able to do all the kinds of broadcasts for racing in house, plus have podcasts, have other shows, other content being produced there. Why not do what you can to make all that, take that content? NASCAR Race Hub just got shut down. We've all longed for the Speed Channel since it's gone. Launch your
Right?
own version of it. Launch your own version of
It's
it. Host it all on Racing America, and that's where that content can live, and we
yep.
can have an independent place for it. I think, Formula One with their F1 TV, I think is a very functional and proper way to do it. And I think NASCAR's
Oh
got the
yeah.
money to put off something like that too. So just bring it all in house and then support grassroots racing through that. Make
Yep.
sure that every NASCAR affiliated local home track can be streamed on Racing America, or do your best you can to get those deals corrected. And then at least for folks who are asphalt fans and fans who of stock car racing that is a ladder system or a feeder system to the top ranks, at least they'll have one place to go to that could be effective, right? So
Yeah.
that'd be my dream situation. That'd be the situation I think is going to happen. Whether it happens on this next charter agreement or something else down the road, I would just watch for that. That'd be not my insider knowledge, but just like a prediction based on how I understand media rights.
Yeah, it would 100% be huge if with what they're all doing down there in Charlotte is because now is that I wonder if that's the same building that they were joking about saying it was Dale Jr. is going to be where his podcast going to be out of here soon. Apparently they're building because it was right beside where 2311 just built their new shop.
Yeah, airspeed or whatever.
Airspeed. Yeah, you can't call it a race shop. It's Airspeed. That's what it's called. That's
Yeah,
where
I don't
speed
know.
is made.
I don't remember 100% where exactly the details are on it, because it is something that I watch for. Like I go on if I'm probably going to create some competition here, but if anybody's listening and they want to work in motorsports and they want to work specifically for NASCAR, there is a job board that NASCAR has that you can literally search like jobs NASCAR, and you can even find NASCAR Canada jobs there.
Yep.
Like there's been postings for officials and postings for different at track jobs that you would be working with the NASCAR Canada series, and maybe that's your gateway into something bigger and better. If you want to go work and selling tickets and selling packages down in Daytona or one of the other racetracks, you can do that. Those jobs are posted there, right? So I always keep an eye out for media, and if there's anything that ever kind of lines up where it's like, oh, we need a voice, I'm like, oh, maybe that'll be my ticket in. Maybe I'll get the golden ticket, right? But
Yeah.
we'll see. But yeah, that's something I watch for, and it's certainly an investment I would like to see on the bigger scale. Back to what we do here in Southern Ontario, I think where we have it is perfect. I just think the biggest thing is if drivers or if fans really want to see the drivers, if they really want to see the racing, give them a reason to be at the racetrack. Make
Yep.
it so that the only way you're going to see that moment live is by being at the racetrack.
Absolutely.
Get those stands packed like we've had and like we've been lucky to have at Maryville Speedway this year. And then, from there, tape it all and save it for the wintertime. It's not like the racing appetite goes away. People are still going to watch, especially if it's on demand, like in a YouTube format or something like
Oh
that.
yeah.
That'd just be me and my brain talking, but I don't make those kinds of decisions at any racetrack, and I don't think I have that much pull at any racetrack. So
Well, it's like what I used to do with the CVMs is that I used to record. I used to put 2 GoPros in a couple of the CVMs, and then I would hold my third GoPro down in turn 4, and I would capture the entire race.
yeah,
That entire race would never make it into the final product because I would just show a green as they come into the green flag, and then I would take it to in-car.
yeah,
So what I did was I kept on to that for the off season, and I did what I would do the throwback races
yeah,
where I would actually in my video editor, I would actually make it go black and white.
nice,
So give it that old like throwback kind of feeling to it.
yeah,
Like I thought it was pretty cool. A lot of the guys liked it. Like it was just but again, I released that every 2 weeks or so. And that was a way for people to get the racing fix if they like the CVMs. And I was still getting the same video counts as I would when I was posting regularly throughout the summer.
yeah. And
Like,
I just think that's the play, is to keep the content coming is in ways that you can and can't. Like we got my biggest thing is having the time to make the content. But I did a couple weeks ago where I did like a breakdown of an accident we had in the 360 sprint car race from the first week at Maryville, and I did kind of like a cut in TikTok style thing where I posted my head over it, posted some audio over top, and that did pretty well for us, and it's got me inspired to think about how to continue to incorporate that sort of things, to the point where we're really close. I think I'm going to pull the trigger on making the upgrade to be able to do this, but we're going to start trying to do, or I'm going to start trying to do episodes of the Southern Ontario Dirt Show podcast live where I'm reacting to either a
nice.
throwback race, or we're going to rewatch, the modified feature from the drone footage last week. And then we'll do it live on, hopefully, I think it's going to be YouTube. I'm still working with my podcasting, not the host site, but where I do my podcast out of, to see how I can broadcast that all and do some test stuff on that. And I think, by the end of the summer, middle of the summer, we're going to be able to just soft launch it. And then, probably in the off season, that's going to be a thing that we do to keep the content going, is just do those live streams and those live rewatches of races. Because at the end of the day, like, I almost find that not more effective, but if you told me I could have the Denny Hamlin podcast the way it is right now, or I could have Denny Hamlin jumping on Twitch for 3 hours, rewatching the race that he was just in and giving me like the Coles notes of the race from his vantage point, or being like, oh, see, I didn't even know that happened in that race. That's super interesting. I can't believe this driver took that driver out, or that changed everything strategy wise. Just like stuff like that, I think is super interesting. And I think just lends itself to a bit more of a community event. And I think doing some of the iRacing stuff that I did in the off season kind of had me thinking about that sort of thing as well. So I think that's kind of the future of the Southern Ontario Dirt Show podcast as it currently stands. We'll see when we can get that sort of stuff launched, but we've got a great partner this year with Van Sickle Pet Value and Lundy's Lane Pet Value. They're big supporters of racing throughout Southern Ontario. They're big supporters of myself with the dog rescue stuff I do on Hits FM. So it's been a great matchup to have them be a part of the show this year, and I'm very appreciative of their support, and we're looking forward to launching that program. And something else that I think is going to be fun to do with drivers this year is, I just announced it on the show this past week, is the Sticker Star program. So I've got these stickers that I had printed to raise money for the show, to be able to travel, to go to different dirt car events and all that sort of stuff, to kind of get there and just be able to be on this premises and be able to come back and talk about it. But so we're going to do, if you buy a sticker and you put it on put it on your race car, if you're a driver or somebody that's close with the team, I'm going to give that driver a 5-minute clip on the podcast, thanking all their partners, talking about themselves, talking about the race team, all that sort of stuff. Thanking it's just the opportunity to thank folks that you might not get the chance to. If you don't win a race, or you don't get to the front stretch at any point, you could go a whole year without thanking anybody publicly. Obviously, you'll do the best you can on your social media, on yourself or whatever, but I think that giving drivers that platform in exchange for their support of our show, I think it just makes total sense to go ahead and do something like that. So the Sticker Star program has launched, and we'll start selling some stickers at the racetrack, and whoever wants to jump on and have their Southern Ontario Dirt Show sticker on the side of their race car is going to get that shed out. And heck, you know what? It's not a dirt exclusive thing. If anybody listening that's an asphalt guy wants to support the podcast, we're always happy to have a sticker be displayed somewhere out there.
How much are stickers, so that way the guys can reach out so they know what it costs?
5 for 1 or 3 for 10. So
what a deal.
Yeah, right. So I figured you can throw it right up there as almost like a contingency sticker. I miss the contingency stickers in NASCAR, right? I think it just makes a car look so cool. So that's wherever you need to put it on your race car, though. I'm here for it. We're proud to have the Southern Ontario Dirt Show logo out there being represented, and we appreciate the support. So that's going to help us get to the racetrack, help us do some of the expanded programming that we've got planned for it. Really just take the Southern Ontario Dirt Show to a new level as it's evolved over this year.
And I didn't even realize the time until
I know, right?
This hour has been flying by really quick, which is great. Like, that's what we want to see. But why don't you talk a little bit about the podcast and talk about what you guys usually talk about on the show? I can't remember. Is it you? I'm gonna. This is. I'm so sorry. I haven't listened in a minute. So, is it you that does the every episode? You guys have a driver. So let's say episode 13, you name drivers who ran 13.
Yes,
Is that you
that's our
thing or is
intro.
that?
Yeah, that was our intro for a while here, and now, so we just passed episode 88. I had Shane Pierce, who drives the 88 modifier at Merrittville and some other tracks around locally. I had him on to talk this week on the podcast, so that episode's up now. We actually just came to YouTube, so I'm still figuring out that sort of thing
Yes.
because we were on Google Podcasts forever, and then one day I got an email, and they're like, "Yeah, Google Podcasts isn't going to be a thing anymore. So here's the way to just send your whole RSS feed right to YouTube." And I was like, "Okay, cool." It's a lot less work for me, I think. So if you're a fan and you don't have one of those streaming services like Apple or Spotify, you can catch the show now on YouTube. It's very easily accessible. You can find us the Southern Ontario Dirt Show. But yeah, we just passed 88. Lots of current 88s to talk about. Dan Curving in the Mod Lights. Shane Pierce, like I mentioned, in the Modifieds. Josh Hansen in the 360s. I believe his younger brother has also jumped into an 88 crate sprint car. I can't confirm that, but I thought I saw a post on Josh's social media that he's joining the ranks of the crate sprints. So I think that'd be a
Ooh.
Nico in an 88 potentially, but I haven't confirmed that number again. I've been behind on. We've been so busy on Saturday nights. I feel like I'm even behind on catching up on what's going on at Oshweekend sometimes. So I'm looking forward to getting back on track in terms of keeping track of that sort of stuff. At the start of the year, Travis Cunningham, who was co-hosting the show with me for the last little while, he decided he wanted to step away and really focus on racing this year. He's got some big life changes happening in his world. And I was like, you know what? Do what you got to do, buddy. That's more than fine. Podcast isn't going anywhere. Obviously, if Travis decides he wants to come back to it, his door's open, more than welcome. He helped co-found the podcast and get it going. So I'm appreciative of him pushing me into doing this. And that definitely threw a bit of a curveball to lose your driver analyst, so to speak, part of the show. But that's just made me really think about the show and how I want to do it going forward. And I'm excited to continue to evolve over this year and grow and see what we're going to do. And the biggest thing has just been is actually having the time to produce the clips. Like, I'm sure it makes a huge difference being able to pump out like a 30-second clip of a show each week on top of what you already post, like link wise or whatever else. And, that sort of stuff takes up more time than you think when you're busy planning a stag and doe and planning a wedding and everything else that we've had going on, trying to release music and record music and start a band. And I'm a guy who likes to stay busy, and sometimes I stay busier than I actually should be. So, but yeah, the podcast has been great. We're back to doing some guest interviews, and we've got a 5 to 10 minute segment that kicks off the show called the race report, where I take you through, some of the local tracks, Merrittville, Oshweekend. If there's bigger races at Brighton or Brockville, maybe we'll try to mention some of that sort of stuff. I'm open to basically talking about as much as I can for anybody else that's around, and just giving the spotlight to the tracks and to the drivers as best I can, because again, it's just one more way to document our local scenes.
Yeah, honestly, I'm gonna have to start tuning back in. The problem is, it's not really a problem per se, but me and the wife have been because of course I got married a week before your stag and doe, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, right.
And so we were carpooling for a while there. So usually what I do is in the mornings I listen to my podcast going to work, and then on the way home I listen to music. So usually I only get to go through one, maybe two podcasts before the weekend arrives, and then we're out together, so I can't listen to them. And at work, I'm a mechanic there, so I can't really stop and listen to the shows and whatnot, which is unfortunate. But I'm gonna have to start tuning back in, because I have listened to you guys, I've watched you guys grow, and I need to get back into it so I can get my daily dose of what's been going on in the dirt world as well. Because I feel like this year I've been lacking already. As you said, I already feel it. I've been lacking this year on my dirt stuff, because I don't feel, sad as going to say, I don't feel as connected to the dirt stuff this year as I had last year. And I'm trying to reconnect, and I need to get out to a Merrittville Saturday night. That is 100% what I need to do.
Well, absolutely. You got to come out anytime you're coming out. Just let me know, and we'll see if we can make you a little cozy spot up in the tower as well and get you a little bit behind the scenes in the media row if we can. But yeah, no, it's just so hard, right? Like I said, I mentioned it earlier in the show. Guys ask me, it's like, why don't you pay more attention to Flamber or whatever else? And it's like, dude, I'm keeping track of 5 different racing series on a Saturday night, maybe another 4 on a Friday night. That's not even talking about the fact that Southern Ontario Motor Speedway's got their act together and they've got a season that's go up and running now. And they're trying to rival us on a Saturday night at Maryville, which also has been interesting to see how that has played out. But yeah, there's just so much to keep track of in terms of the dirt world and in this asphalt world as well. And what is one to do, right? You got to make your choices where you can. So, but anybody who's listening to this, I hope you can choose both, and just know that, if it's between, myself and the Southern Ontario Dirt Show podcast and the True North Racing podcast, and I don't know, the Dale Jr. download, pick us 2 ahead of Dale Jr. He's got enough listeners. Okay. He doesn't talk about us the way that we talk about our local scene. Okay.
Exactly. That's the one thing is that I didn't like, even that's one of the reasons why probably each of us started our show. There wasn't a whole lot of representation for the drivers and for the teams in Southern Ontario. And we wanted to reach out and get those people to talk about what's been going on in their lives, because this is the thing is that we all have day jobs. We're not all professional racers. We can't, like Denny Hamlin, we can't just wake up at on 8 a.m. on a Monday and be like, okay, you got 2 hours of my time to record this podcast before I got to go to team meetings all day.
Yeah.
No, we do that. Like I do this on Sundays out of pure love. And you guys typically record when at any time?
Well, I've been all over the place this year. I mean, it used to be when it was Travis and I would typically do like a Thursday night work around like his dart schedule and then working on the race car. Now with it just being me, I'm like, okay, it's Tuesday. I have nothing going on. All right, let's record something here. Let's jump on. Let me get the results from the high limits this week. Let me grab the World of Outlaws stuff. I'm such a bad typer too, and I'm trying to do the race reports as a more scripted, kind of Dave Despain style essay type report, speed report, something like that, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I've noticed the difference between when I try to just free, kind of send it in freely versus trying to do a script and following a script. And there's obviously, in that style of podcasting and broadcasting, having a script plays out a little bit better. But yeah, it's been funny. And so I'm all over the place, just trying to get interviews whenever I can.
Before we get you out of here, because again, we're gonna have to get you on later in the year again. Like we
could talk for hours.
We could talk for hours, but unfortunately, I got an hour and a half time limit. I haven't even recorded my opening or my exits yet.
So gonna put you under the gun.
I'm gonna, and I gotta have all this done ready to go for radio for Tuesday morning. So we're gonna get into our Taylor to You fan question period, where as you saw earlier today, you're gonna be joining us on the program tonight, and we got a couple questions for you. You ready to answer them?
Yeah, let's go. Let's do it. Let's go for it.
All right. First up comes to us from Instagram. He gets William_Trillium. He goes, "What's the coolest race you've called?"
Oh, that's tough. I mean, I'm always a sucker for a sentimental story. I'm trying to remember the context behind it, but there was one race I called where Pete Bicknell got a win, and I don't remember what the story was. I can't remember if it was the night he went up in the Wall of Fame, or he clinched a championship or clinched something special. But that was a cool one. Cody McPherson last year won in a 777 throwback to his dad, the night his dad went up on the CAA Wall of Fame night. That was a really cool experience to be in the tower. Anything with like that kind of emotional storyline. Even last week, and man, like I don't pull for favorites. I don't cheer for anybody. Everybody always asks me if I have any bias, and I'm pretty good about keeping my bias off. But last week, or I guess 2 weeks ago now, well, a week and a half, whatever it is. What are we on Sunday? So, but during the Ivan Little Memorial last Saturday night, not on June 1st, Ryan Susie was back at the racetrack. And for those who aren't familiar with Ryan Susie, he's Wilson, New York native, Ransomville guy, was running pretty regularly at Merrittville Speedway, was track champion, co-track champion, I think, in 2022. His son, Axton, was born extremely prematurely, and that forced him to take a step aside from racing. And he and his wife, been by this kid's side. And we did some, good fundraising efforts. We did the helmet pass around, and that really made a difference. And, Ryan was able to get back racing this year. He's been running regularly Friday nights at Ransomville in the 358 modifieds, but he came back over to run the Ivan Little Memorial 61 last Saturday, and he damn near won the thing. I mean, he was right up there battling with Lindbergh. I've never seen anybody get as many lucky cautions as Gary Lindbergh had, because he definitely had a short run piece and Susie was better on the long run. And every time it looked like Ryan was ready to set him up, something would work out to put Ryan back. But still really cool to get Ryan on up on the podium. And I think all of us in the tower were like, what a story it would be if this guy takes a year off from Merrittville, goes through all this personal drama and personal turmoil, and comes out the other side of it with a happy and healthy family, and returns to Merrittville for a one-off race. And if he had won it, how special would that have been? But yeah, I don't know. I'm just a sucker for anything sentimental, so I'm gonna try not to carry on anymore because I can't think of a specific example.
Yeah, when you got moments like those, it's good when you have them, because you never know what. It's good to have them, because when you have, especially more than one, you can't pick one, and they're all great.
Yeah, and I like the Pete Bignell stuff. It's like, he's this legend of small block racing, and a guy that when I was growing up and talking about Merrittville with the few friends that were regular fans of it, they're like, "Oh, Mr. Small Block, Pete Bignell, he's the guy to beat. He's the best driver, right?" All this sort of stuff, and he's still one of the best out there doing it. 50 years into his career. I think he is in search of his 50th champ, or no, what is it, 25th track championship in 50 years or something
Wow.
like that. It's pretty insane what his stats and his numbers are like, and what he's trying to track down history wise this year.
I'd certainly say so. Um, that's just incredible. I'm sorry, that's just kind of blew my
Yeah, if
mind.
you want to have a fun deep dive, I believe most of it's pretty well documented, but try and find all the different stuff that Pete Bicknell has accomplished in his career in terms of championships and track championships and all that sort of stuff. Obviously, he's had the best of the best equipment wise, and has been on the cutting edge of the Bicknell Racing products, the building all these chassis, BRP chassis. Obviously, he's had the best and the boldest of design ideas and experiments in the race car and all that sort of stuff. But overall, I mean, he's still had to go out there and execute, and he's done it year after year after year through injuries, through everything else. And he's still out there, a Wall of Famer, actively winning championships and races.
We're gonna get into our next question here. It's from, I'm gonna hope it's Steven or Stefan. I'm probably gonna pronounce this wrong. Zalesnak.
Zelznick?
Yeah.
Yeah, Steve Zelznick. Yeah, he's a regular listener of our show.
He goes, what happened to your sidekick Travis? I noticed he wasn't at the Big O on Friday. The two of you worked good together.
Yeah, Travis has got some things going on in his life that he's trying to take care of on top of running a race team and being involved in racing, and those priorities are more important to him, and I fully support him taking that time and doing what he's got to do to take care of all the things going on in his life. And yeah, he's got my full support, and he's obviously welcome to come back on the show whenever he wants or whenever he can. I know his goal was to try to be up top 10 in points, but small budget team, small budget racer, it's hard what he was trying to accomplish and the things he has accomplished in the short time that I've been watching him, with the kind of budget, with the kind of operation, with the kind of shop that he's got going on. That yeah, it's a hard life and it's a hard haul. So trying to put up with me and being the driver expert of the show for one night a week on top of all the other things he's got going on these days is a lot. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Yeah, I was surprised to not see him on Friday night, but yeah, I'll talk to him, I'm sure, about it at work on when I see him at BRP.
Well, that wraps up our Taylor to You fan question period. And of course, we got to thank each and everyone for submitting questions. Follow Taylor to You on Facebook, Instagram. She does amazing work. She's created tumblers for me. She did the original True North Racing podcast logo, which is actually, you can see right here up on my hat. Same thing with Joe Media logo. She's done a lot for me since we started 4 years ago. She's actually just about to enter her 4th year of business as well, which is awesome. So yeah, go give her a follow. And if you guys are looking for tumblers, t-shirts, keychains, lanyards. I know she's doing lanyards now. Go give her a follow. Go get yourself some orders from through her. But yeah, that's gonna do it for our Taylor to You media and design fan question period. Jonathan, it's always fun when we get to chat. Like I said, when I come out to Merrittville, I gotta plan a night where I don't have any racing going on. And unfortunately, I think my 2 weekends I don't have racing going on. I have to book them now. No, so I've, because of all the race day vlogs we got going on, I am now technically 1 for 4 on full race day vlogs.
Oh wow.
I got my first one in back in May with Cody Wilds at Delaware. I was supposed to do one the next day. Actually, I think that was the day I was supposed to come down to see you guys. Or when I ended up coming down to see Merrittville. I was going to go see Mark Allen at Flamborough. Rained out. I'm like, okay. 2 weekends ago, supposed to go to Sunset. Rained out. This weekend, friggin', I could have gone back today. Probably could have gone back today, and left right after the pure stock race. But I was like, I would have wanted to stay for the APC race and watched it live. But I wanted to be here, do the show, so I decided against it. Ordered up Racing America for the night to be able to catch all the action.
Nice.
But just before we let you go here, I just realized I went on a rant. I don't even know where I was going with it. Boy, that happens way too much with me sometimes. I just go on a set and just go. Let us know where they can find the Southern Ontario Dirt Show. Where can they find you on social media? And even throw in a few things of what's going on at Merrittville Speedway in the coming weeks.
All right, let's start. I'll start with myself here. I'm at Jonathan on air. That's where you can find me, whether it be music shenanigans, racing shenanigans, radio shenanigans. They all live there. I would say, I believe it's on Thursday. Watch the Hits FM socials and my socials, because we just raised a bunch of money for the Niagara Children's Center, and as such, we have to get covered in glitter and baby oil. It's a whole thing. We'll explain it. You'll be able to watch that on Hits FM's live Facebook page. So that's coming down the pipe this week. But yeah, at Jonathan on air, JONATHON, how you spell Jonathan for the record, and the correct way how to do that. So I play in a band. We're called Green White Checkered. We're launching with some gigs through the summer, so watch for that. I haven't even put the social media or anything like that out there yet, but watch for that in the coming days. I'm sure if you follow me, you'll find it there. I'm always down to talk racing on social media, so never hesitate to shoot me a DM or anything like that if there's something you want to talk about, especially in the world of dirt. As for the podcast itself, it is the Southern Ontario Dirt Show on Facebook, Southern Ontario Dirt Show at gmail.com. If you have any questions, anything that you want to send into the show, anything you want us to talk about, any guest requests, that's where you can do that. And for all other social media, it is at SODS_POD, at SODS_pod. We are available on YouTube now. We are available on Apple Music, Spotify, anywhere you get your podcasts. We have even a little website that you can go to tune into, that we share the links to that up on our Facebook and Twitter feeds as well. And as far as Merrittville Speedway, what's coming down the pipe this Saturday, it's a big night. It's a CA Wall of Fame induction night, nostalgia night, 50-lap Jerry Winger Memorial for the modifieds, the inaugural first, what is it, the 31 lap, I believe. I think it's 31 laps. Sportsman event for Al Willard. Don't quote me on the laps. I know it's up there somewhere. I apologize if I'm getting it wrong. But yeah, Vintage Car is going to be there. We had to reschedule our autograph night from this Saturday. That's coming down the pike on, I think, the 29th of June now. So if you want to get up close and personal, meet your favorite Merrittville drivers, you can do that on that night. But beyond that, just go to merrittvillespeedway.com, check out the Merrittville Speedway socials, and come see us on Saturday night. Get a taste of the dirt life. And I promise we'll put on a good show for you, because we have had some really insane shows We literally had the transponder basically tie at the line in Hoosier Stocks a
Oh,
couple weeks ago. Everything's been fantastic. The racing has been just so great this year, and we're so spoiled. And the car counts are super healthy, which is amazing to see. So, come and visit us on a Saturday night. Come check me out at Jonathan on Air. And thanks for having me on, John. This is best. I always love coming on. And after you come to Maryville Speedway, you're coming on the Southern Ontario Dirt Show to give us your report of what dirt racing life was like for a night.
you know what? I've been to Maryville once, thankfully, and that was 2021. That was the first race I ever took my wife to. That wasn't asphalt.
Okay, I was gonna say, I'm like, you
It-
went to a dirt race before asphalt? Come
No,
on.
no, no. That was the first race I've ever taken her. She's come with me to Flamborough to do all the CVM stuff, but we never sat and just watched racing.
Yeah.
So taking her to Maryville, we sat down in turn 4. She freaking loved it.
It's a
She-
special experience. We're
Oh.
really spoiled with what we have at Maryville, and there's just something about it. The way the dirt hits your face, it's a cool experience. You got to come and check it out if you never have.
That's the funny part. That's exactly the reason why she wants to go, because she loves the way the dirt hits her face there.
It's an exfoliation thing for the girlies, you know.
That's the way we got to sell it to our ladies out there. That's what we got to do.
Yeah.
Jonathan, as always, it's been a pleasure. We're gonna have to get you back on again. It's always a fun. Hell, who knows? It might be the John and John show again. Megan might come on. We got to try and convince her to come out with a car and try and get a car ready for dirt mini stock.
Yeah, if mini stock, heck, put her in the Enduro. I think she can drive for 100 laps or whatever we got. It's just find a piece that's going to run for it. Heck, even get out in a go-kart. I mean, that's the extent of my racing this year. Is hopefully you put the photo up I saw this week of me doing my seat fitting, if you will, for my go-kart ride last year. And I'm working ahead on trying to put together a program to get out and race this year. So looking for some sponsors with that sort of stuff as well to go race the Little R. And I've got a couple offers to race it on Maryville Tuesdays as well. So heck, if you want to start me in a go-kart, or if you want to help out with a go-kart program, get a hold of me too, because and that's a great way to go and race on a budget.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure chatting with you. We're gonna have to get you back on, but we're gonna let you go tonight. All right.
Cheers, buddy. Thanks for having me on, and can't wait till the next one. Happy to do it anytime.
Sounds good, man. Have a good one.
Later.
All right. And we got to thank Jonathan Howe for joining us this week. And man, we could talk to him for hours all about racing, all about what goes on in Maryville Speedway, what he talks about on the air with the Southern Ontario Dirt Show. I'm planning a night to go because I want to go. Jacqueline wants to go. She loves being at Maryville. It's one of the cooler tracks she enjoys going there. If you haven't gone, I highly suggest it. It is, like I said, it's such a cool place. Let's get out there, support our local short tracks. Even if you got an off weekend, I highly suggest going and traveling and checking out. Even if you don't take your race car, just go support another show, or go support the show at your local track. Then that way, there's still, because we don't want to see tracks go away. We want to see people come out to racing. To the racetrack. We want to see this. We want to see. Wow, sorry, I had hiccups there. We want to see racing succeed, and the only thing we can do that, bring a friend, share everything that the track you guys typically run. Share, do a giveaway. If there's anyone who has kids to meet the drivers night, I highly suggest getting that set up with the track and purchasing like a 4-pack of tickets and doing a giveaway to that family, and give them kind of like a VIP treat when they come to the track. So that way when they come to the track and they come onto the track for meet the drivers night, they have a little something. You have a little something for them. That's my suggestion. I'd love to do something. I think that'd be pretty cool. But yeah, next time you'll see me will be at Meet the Drivers Night at Flamborough Speedway on June 22nd with the Ontario Pro Challenge. I'll be, like I said, if you wave at the camera, you will holler at me. I'll come over and I'll chat with you. Let's go have some fun racing. And yeah, that's going to do it for me for this week of the True North, for episode 138 of the True North Racing Podcast, presented by Driving with Haley. Of course, we got to thank all our partners for joining us, for being a part of the show, for being a part of Joe Media's promotions, and of course of our Day at the Races vlog series. Stay tuned. I'm going to start working on something in the works. I got something in the works I want to announce, but I want to get things set up before that is announced. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you guys follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok at Joe Media. Make sure you guys head over to our website, joemedia.ca, to keep up to date on everything going on with our Joe Media drivers, and with the podcast, with the Feeney Call podcast. I need to update that a little bit as well. I've been doing a terrible job of updating it. If you guys like what you hear, shoot us a message. If you guys got an opinion you guys want us to hear, send it to us. We're not afraid. I want to hear it. You guys can message us on all our social medias or at jomopromos@gmail.com. Yeah. Other than that, guys, there's nothing else I really got for y'all. So this is going to do it for episode 138 of the True North Racing Podcast, presented by Driving with Haley. We'll see y'all next week. Bye now.
Lights, hear the engine rooming by. Smell the gas and feel the vibe. Going into overdrive. Drop the flag, then the car zooming by. Hey, True North Racing, let's go.